We have all tried counting stars at some point in our life. How far have you gotten? I usually lose track after 20 years or so. Counting them manually is, of course, impossible. But if you have to make a guess, how many stars do you think are in the entire universe? Not just the ones you see. Imagine if you get a penny for every star in the universe. How much money would you have? Would you have enough money to buy a phone, maybe a car, or maybe even a mansion? The short answer is you will have so much money that you won't have to worry for money at all. Your wealth would be so much that you would not be able to spend your money in thousands of lifetimes, even if you choose the most lavish lifestyle. Hello, namaste, hola, guten tag, bonjour, and hello in all the beautiful ways people greet around the world. Welcome to the very first episode of Sip of the Iceberg. My podcast is for anyone who is interested in topics related to science, history, philosophy, and the arts. Or even to anyone who just, enjoys learning about how weird and amazing the world is. Maybe you are just listening to this podcast while cooking in the kitchen and you don't really care how many stars there are in the universe. Or maybe you are in a high school and you find philosophy to be a bunch of pretentious nonsense. Anyways, my goal here is to show you that these topics have a lot to offer and there are many intriguing things from these topics that can pique your interest. Maybe this podcast might spark that curiosity in you, to go pursue these topics in more depth. Or maybe you just had a good time listening to fun and interesting things about our universe. Either way, I would be very happy to know that there are people out there listening because I had a great time researching and recording this podcast. So, without further ado, let's start today's topic. Today, we are discussing aliens or extraterrestrial beings and how likely they are to exist. I actually have been fascinated with the concept of aliens ever since I was a kid. And I think it was the movies that introduced me to the concept of aliens. I used to believe aliens were real. I mean, I'm not saying they aren't real, but I used to think that there are aliens on other planets that we already know about. So when I found out that aliens hadn't yet been discovered, I wasn't actually disappointed. Instead, it made me feel, even more fascinated with them. Knowing that aliens haven't been discovered, but the possibility of them existing was even more exciting for me. It's kind of like the reverse of finding out that Santa is not real. I then started wondering if we would find aliens in our lifetime. I would be excited to hear news about finding water on Mars or the moon and wonder if aliens were hiding in there. I also used to read a lot of conspiracy theories about aliens. It was one of the most entertaining and interesting things for me during my teenage years. I used to, wonder about our place in the universe, and I even remember feeling existential dread because of it. I used to watch shows and read articles about crop circles, alien abductions, and about how the US government is, doing experiments with alien in Area 51. UFO sighting news was also very interesting to me, and I had to admit that I was extremely gullible as well. I used to believe that every UFO sighting video was real. You cannot blame me. I was a teenager. I used to be so intrigued and influenced by the Ancient Aliens show as well. That used to claim, ancient wonders like Pyramid of Giza were also probably built by aliens because the show claimed that the technology required to build pyramids or the other ancient wonders were far more advanced than our, today's engineering. So the conclusion was that humans could not have built it alone. I think there was also the theory that humans are actually aliens that came to Earth from different parts of the universe. To be honest, I still find that idea very intriguing. That is actually a very good premise for a sci fi story. I have now grown out of that conspiracy theory phase. As I dived deeper into history and archaeology, I actually have come to realize that the ancient alien show does a huge disservice to the achievements and ingenuity of ancient humans, our ancestors. We have uncovered so many historical and archaeological data which suggests that ancient humans were as smart as humans today, if not even more. They were just limited by the technology and knowledge of their time. And they still built these engineering marvels with pure human ingenuity and whatever resources were available to them at the time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that aliens can be real. I still believe that alien life is very much possible. Not just possible, but highly probable. When we think about aliens, most of us probably think of sentient, intelligent beings like Thanos from Avengers or Navi from the Avatar. But aliens or extraterrestrial life, by definition, is any life form that originated outside of Earth. So aliens could be something um, very different than how we usually see in movies. It could be something quite underwhelming, like bacteria or grass. Or they could be something entirely different, something like maybe slimy goo or gaseous beings like shown in one of the episodes of Rick and Morty, or even maybe beings without physical form, something like, AI program. But how likely is that the aliens actually exist somewhere out there in the universe? Is it just my wishful thinking? A little bit, yes, but it's also backed by science and statistical probability. Hear me out. So to answer how likely aliens are to exist, we first have to understand the scale of the universe. So, how many stars are there in the entire universe? Let's say you get a penny for every star in the universe. How much money do you think you would have? Would you have enough money to buy a phone, or maybe a car, or maybe even a mansion? To answer this question, think about how stars are structured. Stars are basically clustered together into groups known as galaxies, and the galaxies are scattered throughout the universe. And it is estimated that there are around 100 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy alone. Just think about that for a second. And that's also the estimated number of average stars in each galaxy. And scientists estimate that there are around 200 billion to 2 trillion galaxies in the universe. 200 billion to 2 trillion. Wow, that's a very big number. So if we multiply the number of galaxies with an average number of stars in each galaxy, we get an unfathomably large number of 200 sextillion stars in the universe. I don't think most people have even heard of the word sextillion till now. Well, I did not know the word existed before I was researching for this podcast. Basically, 200 sextillion is 2 followed by 23 zeros behind it. To put that into perspective, let's think about the penny analogy. So if you had a penny for every star in the universe, you would have so much money that if you spent $1 million every second, it would still take you about 63 million years to spend it all. So basically, you would be able to buy every phone, every car, every mansion, in fact, everything humans have ever built and owned. And you would still have more than 99.99% of your money left. That's an insane amount of money. Well, the money was just for analogy. But the point is, we have unfathomably large number of stars in the known universe. Two types of stars are considered the most favorable to host planets with habitable environments. These are K-type stars, or orange dwarf stars, and G-type stars are stars similar to our sun. Because they have stable brightness, they also emit less harmful radiation, and they have a long lifespan, which gives life plenty of time to evolve. It is estimated that 7.6% of stars in the universe are similar to the sun, and around 12% are orange dwarfs. So that means there are around 40 sextillion stars in the universe that are favorable for hosting planets with the potential life. Now, each of these stars is a potential home to planets, and astronomers believe that nearly every star has at least one planet orbiting them. Scientists have estimated that roughly 1 in 5 of these planets are about the size of the Earth and are in Goldilocks zones, which means that 22% of these planets are at the right distance from the stars to have, favorable temperature for liquid water and potentially life. So the number of potentially habitable planets in the known universe comes to around 8.86 trillions, or 8 followed by 23 zeros behind it. That is an insane number of planets with potential for life. But that is not enough for life to sustain. It still needs breathable atmosphere. The search for planets with breathable atmosphere is still ongoing. NASA has been using transmission space. That's a hard word to pronounce. Transmission spectroscopy to look at light passing through the atmosphere of exoplanets. So basically, this technology can look at the different colors of light that's passing through atmosphere and find out what kind of gases are in the atmosphere, like if there are oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, etc. And the James Webb Space Telescope, or the JWST, has been very crucial in this mission due to its very powerful sensor in identifying these exoplanets. But having a breathable atmosphere is not enough either for life. If a planet does not have a magnetic field, then a powerful solar flare from the star can strip away its atmosphere. Just look at Mars. It used to have an atmosphere, but due to lack of its strong magnetic field, its atmosphere was stripped away by solar winds. But we don't yet have enough data to estimate the numbers on a universal scale. Also, there are many other factors that come into play, especially if we are to, predict the number of intelligent life forms throughout the universe. Keep in mind that basic life form and intelligent life form might not sound too different, but they are in a very different league. For example, if a planet has breathable atmosphere and liquid water, and if we assume there's life there, we don't have any reliable metric to predict if any of those life forms are intelligent. For example, scientists estimate that there are around 8.7 million different species of complex life forms like plants and animals on Earth. And it is estimated that there could be up to 1 trillion species on Earth if we include microscopic organisms like bacteria and microbes. And out of these trillion species, so far only humans are the only species to build civilization and develop technology. On top of that, it takes billions of years for life to evolve into complex multicellular organisms. Earth is around 4.5 billion years old. That means it took 4.5 billion years for the Earth to have evolved species that are capable of building civilizations. At first, there were only, fundamental elements, and according to popular hypothesis, something caused the primordial soup to form into simple single-cell organisms. And over the course of billions of years, they evolved into multicellular organisms. And over a long period of time, there were countless small but continuous mutations. And along with natural selection, several intelligent life forms evolved on Earth. If we consider time as a factor, then we can also include planets that are older or same age as Earth. And scientists estimate that three out of every four planets in the universe are 4.5 billion years or older. But here's the catch. Most evolutionary scientists argue that intelligence isn't an inevitable result of evolution, just because something evolves for a long enough time, they won't eventually get intelligent. Instead, the scientists think it might just be a fluke. Just look at the dinosaurs. They ruled the earth for almost 180 million years, and they never invented even a wheel. And compared that to us, modern humans have been around for only 300,000 years, and we have already sent probes beyond the age of solar system. If the existence of alien life is highly probable, there's really no way to predict, yeah, even if, yeah, alien life might be highly probable, but yeah, we do not actually have a very reliable way to predict the number of possible alien civilization or if they even exist at all. Also, intelligence is a very broad term. Besides humans, chimpanzees, dolphins, and elephants are the top contenders for intelligent creatures on Earth. But not all intelligent beings create technology and build civilization. For example, dolphins are considered highly intelligent, but they lack hands that can grab things, and you cannot actually smelt metal underwater. So that's probably why we haven't seen dolphin build spaceships yet. While the probability of the existence of alien life is very hard to calculate, there's no doubt that statistically there's immensely large number of planets that could have life on them. So, if the odds of aliens existing is so high, why haven't we encountered or discovered any aliens yet? This massive contradiction between the very optimistic mathematical probability and the very disappointing reality is called the Fermi paradox. It is named after the famous physicist Enrico Fermi, who invented the very first nuclear reactor. While working at Los Alamos National Lab in 1950, Enrico Fermi and his colleagues were making some interesting conversations about UFOs and aliens. They were just casually, discussing the New Yorker cartoon about aliens and the increase in UFO sighting reports. And during the conversation, Fermi suddenly asked, "Where is everybody?" What he meant to ask was the same question we have been discussing. If the probability is so high, then why haven't we discovered any aliens yet? And this one question has opened the door for endless speculation and fascination towards the possible reasons why we have not yet found any definitive evidence of alien life. Since then, many hypotheses have emerged that have tried to address Fermi's paradox. One of the most prominent hypothesis is the Great Filter. So the idea is pretty simple. Um, Somewhere along the line, civilizations might encounter a significant barrier or some kind of challenge that prevents them from getting to the stage of technological advancement where they can contact other intelligent civilizations. So the great filter could be something like a natural or environmental crisis that slows down the technical advancement of the alien civilization. Like how in three body problem, the three-star system causes unpredictable chaotic periods that forces trisolarians to start over and over again. The great filter could be something very sinister and intentional, like some overlord aliens overseeing all the advanced civilizations. They would probably destroy civilization that reach a certain technical threshold. It could be a way to prevent maybe interplanetary war or to stop a civilization from creating technology that could wipe out the entire universe. Or maybe it is just the nature of advanced civilization to destroy themselves with a nuclear war or environmental collapse. You know, just like how war and greed has been an unavoidable part of the human history. Now that we have nuclear weapons, the war could actually wipe out not just cities or countries, but the human race and maybe the entire planet as well. And there's also the massive problem of climate change. Our indiscriminate exploitation of natural resources and unchecked industrialization is pushing our planet to the breaking point. If the environment turns too harsh too fast, it might cause extinction of many species, maybe even the human race. Climate change and nuclear war might just be our great filter, and it might destroy humanity before we become multiplanetary civilization. Or maybe there's no great filter. Maybe life is just incredibly rare. Even if a planet has the most habitable and most perfect environment for life, life might need, millions of things to happen in exactly the right order and magnitude. And maybe Earth was just lucky enough to, hit the cosmic lottery. Even if there is life on other planets, none of those life forms might have evolved into intelligent beings capable of developing advanced technologies. It is also possible that humans are either too early or too late in the timeline. While the universe is 13.8 billion years old, hominins, our early ancestors of humans, only appeared around 6 million years ago, and modern humans just around 300,000 years ago. Archaeologists estimate that agriculture was only invented around 10,000 years ago. Moreover, radio technology has been around for only 130 years. And if we were to fit the entire history of the universe into a 24-hour clock, then humans would only enter the picture just 2 seconds before the end. It is also possible that we are too late to the party. Other alien civilizations might have existed long before the Earth was even formed, and they might have been long gone by the time humans developed technology to communicate with the alien civilizations. On the flip side, the alien life forms in other planets could still be in a very primitive stage and might only evolve into intelligent beings billions of years into the future. Or maybe they will never evolve into, develop technology. But the most and biggest probable reason we have not found definitive proof of alien life might be because the universe is just inconceivably big. Given the mind blowing number of stars in the universe, it feels like it should have felt a lot more crowded. But it just seems like we are just alone in the universe. And that is because the distance between the stars is also astronomically large. Stars are so far apart from each other that it feels like we are the only one out here. Let's consider the closest star to the Earth. That is actually the sun. So let's consider the second closest star to the Earth, which is Proxima Centauri. That is 4.25 light years away, which means if there are alien civilization on one of the planets of the Proxima Centauri and we decide to contact them, then it would take 4.25 years for the signal to reach there. And it would take another 4.25 years to receive an answer if they decided to respond back. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten any response yet from any close by star systems. Well, maybe it's a good thing that there are no signs of life, nearby. It really depends on what kind of alien movies you have watched, but I'm pretty sure that most of them pretty much suggest that it might not fare well for us. Anyways, to provide more context on how far the closest neighboring star is, let's think about how long it'll take to get us there. The fastest human made probe is the Parker Solar Probe, that has achieved the top speed of 192 kilometers per second or 692,000 kilometers per hour. And for those who don't speak the metric system, that is 120 miles per second or 430,000 miles per hour. So this probe is so fast that if you fire a bullet at the moving probe, the bullet will never be able to catch it. And that is actually an understatement because the probe at its top speed is actually 160 times faster than a high velocity rifle bullet. Even for the probe this fast, it will still take around 6,700 years to reach our nearest neighboring star. So just imagine the distance. So that was the closest neighbor. Let's go to universal scale. The observable universe is estimated to be around 46 billion light years in all directions from Earth, or around 93 billion light years in diameter. So that means if there are advanced alien civilizations on the edge of the known universe, and if we send a radio signal to contact them, theoretically, it would take 46 billion years for the signal to just reach there. Keep in mind that the universe itself is only 13.8 billion years old. And on top of that, the universe is also rapidly expanding. So the radio signals would actually never reach there. By the time the signal travels halfway through, the universe itself might even collapse according to Big Crunch theory. Although the chances of it happening is considered pretty low. Instead of big freeze or heat death of universe has a higher probability of happening, which will take trillions of years. These scenarios are considering that the aliens are within the observable part of the universe. We don't even know how big the universe actually is, beyond what we can currently see. Alien civilizations might be located far into the unknown part of the universe. So the most probable and plausible reason for lack of definitive evidence of any alien life could be the size of the universe and its expanding nature. Think of it like scooping a glass of water from the ocean. Just because the glass of water does not have a fish in it does not mean there are no fish in the whole ocean. In addition to that, there are various other possibilities that could be responsible for the lack of evidence for the alien lives. The limitation of our technology could be another possible reason. We mostly scan deep spaces using radio telescopes and optical telescopes. So it is possible that the alien civilization might use a different form of technology than us. And if that's the case, then we won't be able to, detect or read the signals sent by the aliens, even if the signals have physically reached us. And conversely, the same might be true for them. If they don't have radio technology, they won't be able to detect or read the radio signals we have been broadcasting for the last few decades. Think of it like this. Insects communicate with each other using pheromones, and we humans text and call each other using telephones that use radio signals. And we cannot... just like aliens might not be able to see our signals, the insects cannot detect the radio signals that we use to contact each other, and we cannot detect the pheromones that the insects use to communicate with each other. The dark forest theory is another possibility. What if they don't want to be contacted at all? Who's to say they are, scared of us? They might have seen us wage war, brutalize, and invade each other, so they might not be too keen on being subject to similar fate. Maybe everybody is scared of everybody else and they are just hiding and keeping quiet to avoid getting invaded or destroyed. Or they see us as something very insignificant and, not worth contacting. But personally, I don't find this plausible. I am anthropomorphizing here a lot, but lots of people give examples of how we don't try to communicate with the ants because they are so insignificant to us. But the fact is that we actually study them, we conduct experiments on them, and lots of people just stomp them because they are bugs. So personally, I'm not fan of that theory. It is also possible that they have been secretly studying and experimenting on us and we aren't even aware. This hypothesis is called the Jew hypothesis, which basically says that the aliens are intentionally avoiding contact with us for us to, um, grow naturally and evolve naturally. I also love this theory that life on Earth was probably seeded by aliens for experimental purposes. Maybe, Adam and Eve weren't literally dropped here on Earth by the alien ship, but there is a more grounded hypothesis called panspermia. This suggests that primordial soup or basic compounds necessary for formation of life might have come to Earth through an asteroid or a comet. So this suggests that there are life form or building blocks of life form in other part of the universe. Or here's a fun thought for you. Or maybe we are just a weak reality TV show for them. Just, watching us do some cool things, but mostly fighting with each other and doing stupid things. That might be their guilty pleasure. Or maybe they are quietly on their way to invade us and subjugate us while we obliviously keep announcing our presence and asking where the aliens are. There's a dark thought for you. Maybe UFOs are actually the recon pods that are basically conducting recon missions on Earth to study humans, our natural ecosystem, and even to locate, the natural resources of the Earth. UFOs are a whole other can of worms. I will get into that in the next episode. So this is all assuming that the aliens think like us. We don't even know if different people see the same color the same way in their minds, so we cannot even imagine how the aliens think. I mean, even if they think at all. With that said, I think we are at the end of this episode. If you enjoyed this episode and want to learn more, I would suggest you to check the show notes. Until the next episode, sayonara, fellow Earthicans.